He, she's, theys, and all those who slay. Tonight, we're throwing punches at the headlines, body slamming the discourse, and cutting promos on the chaos that is modern wrestling today. Welcome to Kicking Out 2. I'm Michael, and while Tori's off chasing cowboy hats and combat at AEW Dynamite deep in the heart of Texas, I'm not flying solo. Joining me tonight is a man whose wrestling brain runs deeper than a Royal Rumble pool, host of the Run in Wrestling podcast, the Suplex Scholar himself, Big Mike. Big Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I don't know how your audience is going to be doing after that introduction. They are expecting way too much.
Hey, it happens. Before we get going too far, just to kind of jump into this before we get to the news, give a quick shout out to our tag team partner W Energy. No sugar, no crash, just clean, focused energy that keeps us running through every hot take and heel turn. Use Kicking Out, all one word, at checkout for 10% off at w.gg. That's Kicking Out for 10%. Now for the headlines. A little theme that I can't hear, but I see it playing, so I know what it
What's going on, Lady Alpha?
I'm curious how many Michaels you know, though, because that's a sweet sentiment to say. But if you only know two,
I mean, granted, Michael at one time was probably one of the most popular names in at least the country, if not the world.
it was for years. I
Yeah.
used to care about that, so I would keep an eye on it.
Well, like in high school, everybody just called me McCarty because that's my last name. And because in like my homeroom class, not my school, in my homeroom class, there were 4 Michaels.
Yeah.
Apparently, it was very popular when I was in high school, which is like a million years ago, obviously.
Yeah,
But still, it was weird.
it is Tuesday. Georgia Bulldogs football podcast. A big long thing that I can never get right.
How about them dogs?
Yeah, that's right. On the news, the first thing we're going to talk about is WWE 2K25 announced today that there is a new feature coming. It's an emotional Bray Wyatt story mode that's going to be coming. It's been confirmed. A little bit of hints and cryptic stuff, of course, coming from the Wyatt Six about it. There was a little bit of question on whether that was something for the show or if it was for this game. Apparently, we have found it is for the game. If you go to the island area, apparently now you can see behind the gate that was there, and you can see a lot more like a rocking chair and all sorts of stuff back there. That's what's going to open up, and then there's a whole thing that's going to happen in there.
Can you see that? Because I think I'm still in chapter 1 of the island. Can you see it then, or do you have to go? Do you have to be further along like chapter 2 or 3?
No, I think you can see it now. It's just it's not going to open up that area until that new chapter.
I'll have to go check that out after the show.
Yeah, pretty cool thing. I love that we're doing more stuff for Bray, and especially when you're doing it in a digital format, it's really easy to do and stay relative to him himself because you have sound bites, you have the visual art that you can use without it having to bleed into the show.
AEW said there's going to be some unseen clips too.
Yeah, I saw something about that as well. I don't know what that could be. I mean, I would think that anything unseen is probably going to be more blooper related than actual cool stuff.
I mean, because that's back when they did a bunch of house shows and stuff too. So I would imagine maybe there's some house show matches that we never saw.
Maybe
that may have some moments or stuff like that, or maybe some unseen behind the scenes footage of like promos and stuff that he cut or something. So yeah, that's gonna be kind of cool.
Yeah, it'll be good to see. I was always a big Bray fan. Obviously, still miss him being on the TV. I know what they're trying to do with the Wyatt Six. I don't know how successful that is.
Yeah, we talked about that last week. It's great theory, not exactly the best execution. What's up, Herb and Raj? Herb and Raj podcast. Love you too, buddy.
Love you guys. Yeah, I was in the chat and like I say the same thing every time when I talk about the Wyatt Six, and that there's the phrase that gets used of and then the bell has to ring. Yep. And that's where we are with them. Like it's a great presentation, it's a great idea, but then at some point you have to have them get in the ring and make it believable that people can beat them.
When it has to be somebody other than Loomis and Gacy.
Yeah.
Because really, other than the 8-man tag match they had last week, that's really We haven't seen Nikki wrestle at all, I don't think.
I think she
Maybe
had
once.
one match, I think.
Yeah. And then, like I said, Bo and Rowan, you saw one time last week, and that's really the only time I remember those two wrestling. And if
Yeah.
nothing else, let the rest of the group get involved.
Yeah. Cool little tidbit about Bo. Bo was apparently wearing Bray's last wrestling gear
Okay.
this last week, so nice little homage to him, which is pretty much all that character is just a bunch of homage. There is some rumor and innuendo, but I haven't verified it anywhere that somehow the Fiend is going to get introduced into this, and I don't know if maybe like Bo's going to take on part of that personality, maybe, and maybe that's why he's starting to wear things of Bray's, but I don't
I
know.
hope so, because the only other thing would be somebody else putting it on, which I don't think would go over well.
No.
Or you do like the omnipotent voice, which again I don't think would go over very
Yeah.
well.
As long as we don't
So
put
stuff
him
like
in a
that.
shawl and call him Sister Abigail. As long as we don't do that, we're fine.
No, God, please no. What's going on, Stampede?
AEW All In Week and ROH Supercard Starcast turns into a super weekend. ROH Supercard Friday, All In on Saturday. It's essentially an All In weekend WrestleMania edition. It's going to be a huge weekend. We've got all of that AEW and ROH stuff coming. We've got NXT. We've got WWE. We've got just everything coming out. Legends galore have already been said for Starcast. So Sting, Flair, Jake Roberts, Bryan Danielson, Kevin Von Erich, Dory Funk Jr., and JBL are all said to be there. Monty Brown's coming back for his first appearance in 15 years.
Wow.
Crossover names are there in the area, so who's to know that they don't show up in AEW or anything? Like Gigi Dolan, Lena Black, Ninja Mac, all of those are in town and active, so they might show up in that big battle royal that they always have. Who knows? Then you got Shotzi, the wild card factor, which we'll talk more about later. So all sorts of cameos that could pop up out of it. One that's talked a lot about, though, is Zilla Fatu. He recently did an interview, and he said he is in no rush to sign anywhere, as much as there's been a lot of talk of him being part of that Bloodline story or part of the MFTs. Yeah, I just make sure I said that right. Didn't sound right when I said it in my head.
It sounds weird because we had the whole NFT craze a couple of years ago, and now
Yeah.
it's like,
But
which I mean, just call them the family tree at this point. You don't have to say MFT. Just call it the family tree.
I thought it was MF and Tagas. I thought that's what MFT was the entire time, but
That may have been what it originally was, and now they've tried to, because they're trying to get away from calling it the bloodline.
yeah.
And I get that because they want to put a little separation to it, which is smart because everybody's tired of just the name the bloodline.
Yeah.
Regardless of who the group is.
Yep.
But,
in Stampede, I see where you're coming from on that. To me, I attribute it more to like it's an Andre the Giant situation. They're an attraction, and if we start flooding the show too much with it, it's gonna water that down a lot. I don't mind them being shown as a big tier talent, but I don't need them on my show every week either. Wrestling, because that's like the fact that they're going for tag team titles to me is weird. That's weird to me.
Yeah, just in general.
Speaking of All In 2025 card is still building. We've got 8 matches so far. Last year's was 12. TK has mentioned that they're talking about doing a multi-man match that'll probably be added on Collision. Right now, we've got title matches for Adam Cole and Kyle Fletcher for the TNT title. We got a triple threat tag match and more going on there. So it's going to be a big card, but they are saying that they're probably not going to reach the common number of 12. They're going to try to keep it under that. What do you think about that? Having less matches instead of the multitude they normally have.
I mean, I'm good with it. I mean, again, AEW doesn't put on a bad pay-per-view. I feel like if they're going to put a few fewer matches on there, it's going to let the rest of the matches have a little bit more time. Not that I think AEW matches are rushed normally. But one like the multi-man match, if they decide to add that, that'll get more time than it normally will, because those usually seem like they go a little quick, even though there may be with AEW, it's anywhere that we've seen from an 8-man tag to what was the last one, like 16 or 20-man tag that we had at the last pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll get a little bit more time into it. So I'm glad to see that. But yeah, I'm all for it. Whether they have 6 matches, 8 matches, 12 matches, it's never a bad show. So
Yeah.
the more the better.
And I'm with you on the multi-man, because like that gauntlet match, the whole idea of it always kind of confuses me. Just for a simple fact, like you have, say it's 20 people that are signed up for it, but you might not get to the 20th person. It might end by the time you get to the 12th person. So more time in there to get more people in there, I'm fine with that. Give me some more people on the card, but definitely give me more time for those matches to breathe. I don't need spot.
Yeah, but you look at like Omega Okada. I doubt there's any chance that goes less than 30 minutes by itself.
No.
You look at the Young Bucks and Osprey and Swerve. I doubt there's any chance that goes less than 20 or 30 minutes by itself. The Hangman, I mean, like these matches are going to go a long time, even without the gauntlets. Even look at Mercedes and Tony Storm. That match is going to go a good distance if it does what everybody expects it to do and be one of the best matches, of the year, if not ever in AEW or ever, period.
Yep.
Just obviously that's a lot of hype to put behind any match, but the women involved could easily put on the best women's match of the year in North America. I know Stampede has his. I don't get to see a lot of Japan wrestling, so I can't speak to that part, but it could very well do that.
Yeah, for sure. Chavo Guerrero has said that he might be sort of kind of back in WWE. Trying to keep it vague, apparently. Official yet unconfirmed, Chavo has told people that at AAA, WWE World Collide, that he will officially be back with WWE, even though WWE hasn't commented on it. I don't see why not. I mean, it's a legacy character. He's got a great mind for the business. Why not have him be part of the crew, especially with the AAA stuff? Him being one of your backstage guys back there is not going to hurt at all.
No, it's only going to improve the product. I mean, in the more knowledge they can get into, the better. I would agree. Leave him down in AAA. Maybe let him make an appearance on main WWE television just to get the pop.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the whole thing with Dom and all that, and then there's plenty of ways that you could incorporate him in there in the LWO against them or something, or he can. Once the Judgment Day decides to break up, he can come be in Dom's corner with the Eddie Guerrero tie-in, just being a Guerrero in general. There's a million ways they could get it in there, but I think leaving him in AAA for the most part would be great for that brand.
For sure. Especially because they seem to be taking as much as they can from there. It seems like every week we have another, like, they signed with WWE now. Oh, okay. I'm not sure what you're going to do with Octagon, but...
Yeah, but I think that wonder if that's just, hey, they've signed with WWE, but they're going to be AAA talent. Because if you sign with WWE, you're signing with AAA.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it's one of those situations where, yes, WWE has officially signed him, but as a part of AAA. Yeah. Like when somebody signs with WWE, like when we talked about Blake Monroe, when she signed with WWE, we didn't say, oh, well, she signed NXT. No, she signed WWE, but she's going to be in NXT for a bit. Yep. So I wonder if it's the same thing as that.
It very well could be. Because that's the whole thing. Like, we don't know a lot of the details about that still to this day. Of like, is it going to be its own thing? Is it a WWE byproduct now? What are they doing with it? So all we're seeing on those could just be like
AAA is. No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Well, I was just saying. So I mean, it very well could just be they've signed a WWE contract, but it's just renewing whatever contract they already had to stay in AAA.
But in saying it like that doesn't get as many clicks. So you can't just say, well, they re-signed their contract and they'll be in AAA for another 5 years. You have to say, oh, Octagon signed with WWE. And there was like, oh gosh, WWE steal it. No, that's not necessarily true. To sign with AAA is to sign with WWE now. So
we're gonna have Mr. Iguana on our weekly television show. No, we're not.
Yeah,
no, we're not.
Which is what we've heard the entire time, and we haven't seen him since maybe the week after Worlds Collide.
Yep.
On WWE TV.
This news article, I was really excited that it came up because it's specifically for Stampede, and I love the fact that he's already here. AJ Styles' contract, the encyclopedia stays open for another year. Um, unofficial but likely word is AJ has signed a 1-year extension quietly while he was injured. It hasn't been confirmed, but there's rumors of that going back. But AJ has reinitialized the fact that he said he does want to end up in WWE. He wants to retire there. So the likelihood that he's going to go do an AEW run, not likely. But then again, it's wrestling. You never say never. But that popped up, and I was really excited to see it.
Yeah, I mean, me too. I've been saying it for years. I mean, Stampede and I have gone back and forth on this on my show many times about whether AJ was staying or going. So I was definitely glad to see that. Not that we still obviously don't respect Stampede, and I mean, I call him the wrestling encyclopedia for a reason.
There's my tag team partner.
Definitely. What's going on?
I don't hope he goes. I'm just saying that right now. I don't hope he goes. They're going to take him over there. That he's going to be on TV prominently for 2 months, and then the next month he'll be in a battle royal.
But see, here's the thing about AJ that's different than somebody like Bryan Danielson or Edge or somebody like that. He has already said that he can't do a lot of the stuff he used to do, nor does he want to. He's not one of these guys who want to go over there and have the big matches that are where he's jumping off cages or he's getting choked out or whatever else, whatever extreme match that any of those guys have had.
Right.
AJ doesn't want that. He has said that in interviews. I don't even want to do some of the moves I used to do because I don't think I can, and I don't think my body can take it. So then that's one of the reasons I've said that I don't think he's ever going to leave unless it's to TNA, which again might as well say to WWE anyway. I never thought he was going to go to AEW because it just doesn't fit what he has said he's wanted in all the interviews.
Yeah. Like you mentioned the moves. I remember one specifically. I don't remember if it was on Sam's podcast or Chris's podcast. It was one of the two. They brought up the spinal tap that he used to do. And he was like, I don't even think I could do that move now.
Exactly.
So, yeah, there's definitely a lot of things he's probably just trying to lay low with. It looks like the thing he's doing with Dom is ending up pretty cool. I love the little comedy stuff. Him being behind there after he got the cake and he's like, all right.
And I just want to see that every week until they clear Dom.
Yeah.
And like every Monday, I want him to pop up out of somewhere and just go.
I love the old man. I love the glasses gimmick. I always loved that when Sean did it before he officially retired. He would always like bring out the cheaters and look like he's having trouble reading. It's a fun gimmick. Like, you're old. We get it. TNA aims big. They're trying to get a media deal now. They're talking about going live every week after week. Whether they get a deal or not, I know the cost goes up, and as long as they can afford to do it, I think they need to go back to live because the whole 8 weeks of recording bit, I think that's where some of that fell off because it's really easy to say, okay, well, I saw this match and then I saw the next match and the next match and the next match. So people were already knowing what was going to happen for the next 3 or 4 months of programming. So I think it's good that they're going to go to that. I do hope that they get a good TV deal, though. I would love to see them weekly on my TV.
Oh yeah, I mean, again, something we've talked about a ton. The fact that I can't watch them every week sucks because I love TNA. I've followed TNA from day one, back when AJ Styles was there originally. It's something that I want to watch, but I can't because and I know they have the free tier of TNA Plus now, which I think was a promotional thing. I don't think it's there anymore. It may be, but I still don't think you get the weekly show live. But I agree. If they go to a live show, I think that will help a lot. I mean, we saw with SmackDown this last week with it being taped for July 4th, they had a huge drop in ratings because everybody knew what was going on because we were all on Twitter. So we all got spoilers thrown in our face all week.
Well, it also helps with their partnership that they're doing with NXT. If you're going to have your world champ come over there and do something, but then come to find out he's not the world champ anymore because he lost it 2 weeks ago, but we just don't know that yet. It just seems weird.
And that happened last week. We were watching last Tuesday, my wife and I, and Dark State had that promo, and they said, well, you never know where Dark State's going to go. And I'm like, I know.
I know. It
And
was
my
on
wife,
Twitter.
who doesn't, yeah, who isn't on Twitter, doesn't. And she goes, "Well, what are you talking about?" I was like, "Well, they were at a taping a couple weeks ago at TNA, so they're going to be at TNA the next week or two." And sure enough,
Hmm.
Thursday that they show up. So
Which is massive because that means that there's an NXT Matt Cardona tie-in now.
yeah, I
If I
wasn't sure
could,
if that was one of the stories, so I didn't want to give too much away. That's why I just kind of said they showed up. I
oh no,
didn't know if you that is one of your stories.
no, it's not. But that's an angle I'm ecstatic about because I'm hoping that means he's going to show up in NXT at some point, um, and hopefully Paul or Sean has been watching our show because we need to hear like the O Radio record scratch, and then him come out to his
Yes,
actual music. That's what needs to happen.
100%.
Agreed, Tori. Um, last one. I left this for last just because it was the newest thing here, and to me it was kind of the most interesting that has been floating around Twitter all day today, and that's Tony Khan's media call. One of the main key points is he denied Mercedes Moné having creative control, and people are losing their minds. Um, I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't care.
I'm
Even if
not.
she has
I'm not
creative
sure why this
control,
is the thing.
yeah, even if she has creative control, she has creative control then in AEW, if she has it. But she doesn't have it in CCW and everywhere else she's getting these belts. These people want to attach them to her name because she's a big name. Like whether you like her or not, she's a big name. Ironically enough, I attribute her to Charlotte in the WWE because Charlotte gets a lot of hate, but Charlotte's a massive name. You put her in a title picture, and she's going to give you a show. And she's going to give you clicks. I don't see what the big deal is. He talked about the title unification, the Continental and the Intercontinental, or International, excuse me. Should have been called Intercontinental, but can't be called Intercontinental, that one. He said the lineage on it will remain. Apparently, that was a question that came up of like, is this just a new title and we stop there, or what? He said no. The lineage will continue with it. So who's won it before will be considered a unified champion at some point down the lineage. He did tease the Casino Gauntlet that we talked about a little bit earlier. So hopefully we'll see that. He did mention that Athena and Thunder Rosa could possibly show up in it. He talked about MJF and Happy Gilmore 2. TK loves that AEW is getting to break out into Hollywood. It's not the first time it's happened. He did not talk about Britt Baker as far as her exiting. He just kind of left it
I think
alone.
he made a comment that said he hadn't had any conversations.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
just kind of letting that sit there. And then AEW stadium expansion, he hinted that they're talking about more stadiums across the country. I don't know if that's a good thing because, we've had issues with them as far as filling larger arenas before. I don't know if you start putting them in stadiums, if that's necessarily a good idea on a regular basis or if it's just for the big events. If it's for the big events, great. But let's not try to sell out stadiums month after month, in my opinion.
No, I mean WWE has a hard time doing it, much less, not saying AEW is not as good as WWE, but they don't pack a house,
Right.
especially ones that large week in and week out like they do.
Right.
We just had that conversation 6-8 months ago, which is why they moved to smaller venues in the first place for their live shows. I
Which,
mean,
nothing wrong with that
stick with what you
either.
got. Yeah, stick with what you got. It's working perfectly. It looks a million times better in the small venues than it did. Don't try to outkick your coverage.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, right on,
agreed.
Tori. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and switch over to the 3 count. I'm gonna give you a choice. You want to go first, or do you want me to go first? What do you want to do?
You can go first.
All right. MJF drops the leg on Hulk Hogan's acting legacy. He went on an interview and basically said that everyone he's talked to in Hollywood in the acting realm has said that they look at wrestlers going into acting as a joke. Obviously, there are some standouts. You've got Batista, you've got Cena, you've got Rock, but as a normal thing, people still look at like Hulk Hogan and say, he just kind of milked his acting career. He was just Hulk Hogan in everything he did. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Don't know what to say with that.
Maybe not as good as the two on the Herb and Raj podcast, but I'll take it.
I'm certainly not as pretty as my co-host. That's for sure. The quote from MJF though was, "People in Hollywood are like wrestlers are jokes when it comes to people acting." He emphasized that modern wrestlers like himself, Cena, and Batista are changing that perception by actually committing to their roles, training with serious acting coaches, and respecting the craft. So he does think it's going to change, but he does kind of blame Hogan for that initial like hit of, hey, wrestlers are jokes when it comes to them being real actors. I don't think we need to go too far into that, but I do want to just ask the general question. All right, we got the big three. We got The Rock, we got Cena, we got Batista. Who do you think's the best wrestler turned actor so far?
I mean, obviously, it depends on how you look at it. Box office wise, you've got to say The Rock. I think Batista has probably the most range that I've seen as an actor. But as somebody who loves comedy and action, I love John Cena. I think out of all of them, he has the best comedic timing. He's the funniest. He can do a great action movie and still be really funny. The Rock has done some funny stuff, but that's usually attached to Kevin Hart, which is always funny to me. So my favorite is John Cena, but I think the best actor is probably Batista. And I think John Cena even admitted that in an interview he did recently that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's not breaking news.
Yeah. I mean, if you're talking about just like the talent of acting, like I do think Batista is going to be the first one to maybe win an award for his acting, especially with some of the newer roles he's talking about doing. I know he's doing a rom-com right now, which he's been vying for a long time. Had to lose a gang of size to get there because apparently they were not taking him seriously as a huge muscle-bound dude for romantic comedy, which I don't see why. Because to me, you can tell that story pretty easily. You have a big dumb muscle guy that you think is just a big dumb muscle guy, and like that story kind of writes itself. But whatever.
When to be fair, John Cena has played that in romantic comedies.
Yeah.
But like to get the lead in a romantic comedy, you want your lead to be believable as just a normal human being. And somebody like as big as Batista was just isn't that.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Dwayne plays Dwayne.
Yeah. Well, and Cena kind of does the same thing. He's Cena in everything he plays, and that's fine. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, they made box office careers by doing that, just being themselves on TV. Yeah. Any of those. My second one.
Somebody today saying Ryan Reynolds just plays Ryan Reynolds every time.
I mean, they're not wrong. He's played Deadpool in pretty much every movie he's ever been in.
Exactly. He's always kind of the smart ass character. I mean, that's true. That's fair. And I'm a huge Ryan Reynolds fan.
Yeah.
So.
But hey, if it fits every situation, I'm perfectly fine with it. The other one, I did want to talk a little bit about Mercedes Moné and her creative control. So does she actually have creative control, or is it just an online fantasy? Obviously, Tony Khan kind of shut down those rumors, saying that he's the only one that can decide who's going to win and lose. The fans are split, obviously, if that's true or not. Again, like I said in the news bit of it, I don't care. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, the internet needs to learn the difference in the definition between control and input.
Yeah,
because you can have input, and Mercedes may be somebody that he leans on for women's stories, which is exactly what we've been saying we want in WWE forever. We want a woman's representation in the storytelling of the women's division.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're gonna knock Mercedes for having some sort of creative input or control, then you can't out of the other side of your mouth say that you want women to be more involved in the storytelling of women's wrestling in WWE too. So
right,
but I think 100% she has creative input, but in no way do I think she has control.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Sorry, had to do something there. My third one, I'm actually surprised you didn't want to talk about this man, but I decided to go ahead and throw it on here. So Karrion Kross is still in question as far as whether his contract has been renewed or not. But I think the easy answer to that is it looks like possibly, because they are really pushing him being on TV now. He has gotten a whole new vigor. and venom in his voice when he's talking on his promos. We're seeing more of Scarlett saying some stuff and not just being the eye candy in the background, even if it's just one word. She's at least saying something and being a part of that. So her face, like for instance, showing up in that backstage segment just by herself, and it's like, hey, anything you want to say? Nope. But just her being there as her own presence, massive step in the right direction. I really love where we're going with the story. The question is that is the end going to be Sami Zayn saying that Cross was right?
Gotta hope so. I mean, otherwise, where has this story been going the entire time? I mean, even if it's not like a team up, so to speak. So if it turns out to be kind of the same style of story that Karrion Kross has been telling from a distance, this one he's just a lot more involved in since he's got the new contract and they're wanting to show him a little bit more. I mean, at some point, and maybe I'm painting myself into a corner because technically people like Xavier Woods or AJ has never come out and said Cross was right.
Mm-hmm.
They've made kind of offhanded comments that allude to it. I know Woods has. AJ really never mentioned him after that, but Woods has mentioned Cross's name, but never said, well, you know what, Cross was right. I should have done this a long time ago, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually he will. I think he will end up admitting that he was right, whether it's publicly or to himself in the story, and start turning that direction.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why is the story here? It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, I think a major concern with it, obviously, though, is it too late to rebuild him because we've had him just kind of behind the scenes doing his own thing. But I don't know if you saw the video of him backstage as they were leaving, and just
I
like
did.
the sea of a crowd that was
Mhm.
there wanting to see him, like just in person as they were leaving, and all of them still chanting, "We want Cross," all of them screaming and yelling for him, and like him being entertaining, just standing there and entertaining those that crowd. I think he can do it if they just give him the opportunity. That's going to be the big
Well,
thing.
and the difference is exactly what you said earlier about the Wyatt Six. It's then the bell rings.
Mhm.
With the character he has had, that hasn't been an issue because the bell hasn't even rung for him to start a match on TV.
Right.
You know, you had the one match with AJ where he clearly sacrifices himself, puts his arms behind his back, and lets AJ take him out. So that doesn't really hurt you because you're trying to make the sacrifice for what you consider the greater good in that match with Logan.
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't really hurt you as a loss. You can tell that story. And his matches have been so few and far between that when he gets in the ring next time, we don't know whether to expect him to win or lose because we haven't seen it.
That's
So I
right.
think that's the reason it's a lot more easily salvageable, for lack of a better term, than anything else that you're talking about, like the Wyatt Six or anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
because we just haven't seen it.
Yeah. We can expect at least 13 and a half back bumps though. So can't wait for that to happen.
At least 9 from his last match.
That's
So
right. All right. Well, that means we slip over to yours. The first one you wanted to talk about was Evolution 2, the build and the reception of it. So what do you got to talk about?
So, and I talked about this a little bit last night on the Raw rundown because John went on his soapbox, so I figured I'd jump on it with him. So he
A
had some
very
company.
tall soapbox.
It was. I mean, I am completely tired of hearing, well, this build has been crap for Evolution. This has been they're not treating the women right. All this. Stop it with that. Has the build been very rushed? Sure. But most WWE builds this year have been rushed.
Mm-hmm.
That's not an Evolution thing. That's not, hey, we're just bagging on the women. They didn't start making Saturday Night Main Event matches until last week. They haven't started making Great American Bash matches until a week or two ago.
Mm-hmm.
They hadn't started making other pay-per-views. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I know we've talked in the past about other PLEs having really short builds. Even with WrestleMania, with the gap in between Rumble and WrestleMania or Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania, even with all that, they waited till the last minute to build some of those matches. That's a WWE thing now. It's not against the women. It's not in any of that. So if you want to question that, that's fine. But don't sit there and say it's because they hate the women. And don't tell me that, well, they put it on this weekend because they don't care about the women because it's with All In. No, this is what TKO does. They're trying to turn their wrestling shows into events. That's why you get 15 different shows WrestleMania weekend. That's why you get 3 different shows on a few other. We've had NXT and Saturday Night Main Event multiple times now.
Yeah.
They try to turn these into events for all weekend, and that's just their business model. Sure, they probably put Saturday Night Main Event. I won't say probably. They put Saturday Night Main Event and Great American Bash to counter program AEW. 100%. That's
Yeah.
fine. Evolution got lumped into that because of the business model, not because they wanted that to suffer, or
Right.
not because they wanted that to fail. Like I've seen a lot of people saying that. So I want people to stop with all that BS. Again, I mentioned earlier, I mentioned on a post and a few times, what other PLE that WWE has held all year that has had more than 5 matches? There are 7 matches on this card,
Mm-hmm.
including a battle royal. You haven't had that on any other show except WrestleMania. Like even I get Royal Rumble, the 2 matches take up a long time, but you only had 4 matches.
Yeah.
And one was about there's 2 battle royals, but you got 1 battle royal here, which obviously won't be a Royal Rumble, although it should be, so everybody gets their own entrance. That would be cool as shit. But no other pay-per-view or PLE has had that much time and had this many matches. So they're treating it like it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Just by the number of matches they're putting on it. So,
Yeah, I can certainly agree with you. Like well, and it's like you talked about, and I think I struck a chord with my comment, and that's kind of that moment where I think I felt like Mama slapped Daddy at the dinner table because it got a little uncomfortable there for a second. But I made a statement that I think the Trish Stratus and the Tiffany Stratton is probably going to be the food match, unfortunately, and that's just because
because I agreed with that, but that's just.
But it's nothing against that match. It's just looking at the quality of what's already going to be there. That seems to be the less important match. It seems to be the less hyped match. Because again, like we're just like the week before the pay-per-view, we're like, hey, Trish is gonna face Tiffany. Okay.
But even more than that, that's the match that has the least amount of jeopardy to it.
Yeah.
Like in no way do I think Trish Stratus is gonna win that.
Yeah.
You
and
look
if they
at
Io
and
do it, sweet. But like I agree with you. Like I don't see that happening. It's like Goldberg winning. I don't see Goldberg winning that match. It's just a match. So I'm not as invested in that one. But people are just they're dogging that pay-per-view, and I don't understand why. Like they look at the poster, for instance, which has got like 30-40 women on it, and they're like, well, I don't see this person. Okay, but they're not going to put all the surprises on the poster either. So let's not dog it until we watch it. It's for nerddom, it's Superman, it's Ironheart, it's people going in it going, this sucks. Have you watched it? No. Maybe watch it first before we say something. While I do think the build could have been done a little bit quicker, because like we knew about Evolution, they officially announced it months ago. We could have started maybe planting some seeds. But yeah, that's been every pay-per-view of them rushing to get us to the pay-per-view. And maybe that's pay-per-view fatigue because they're trying to put on events every 3 or 4 weeks. Maybe we need to back that up a little bit and give some time to breathe a bit. But I don't think there's anything wrong with the pay-per-view. I know when they initially announced it, we didn't know if it was going to be Saturday or Sunday, and then like I understood the statement then of like, yeah, if we put them up against All In, they're going to get murdered. Like, and that's not fair. But once they said, all right, no, they're going to be Sunday, all right, well then they should make good numbers. Everybody complaining about women's wrestling should be watching that show on Sunday, just so we can see the women do their thing.
Exactly.
Your number 2, the 2-hour SmackDown change.
Yeah, so I don't know if I'm alone in this or not. I know I'm not. I've heard a few people, but as far as this panel and this audience, I loved the 2-hour SmackDown. I mean, that it seemed to go by a lot quicker. There was around 45 minutes of wrestling, which, to be completely honest, is about the same amount of time you got with the 3-hour SmackDown that we've been getting. So it feels like you got more wrestling, and that's not even including like the beatdown time at the end of the Fatu and Solo and all that, and where all the guys ran in there.
Right.
So it felt like there was more than 44, 45 minutes, which was cool. but it just seems like the 2 hour runtime seems to flow better. They're not trying to fill as much with other stuff, and it just makes the show more entertaining. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where I was thinking of that. I didn't know what you thought or what the audience thought, but I just thought that was kind of interesting.
Well, and I will say I agree with you. Like one of the like we just talked about the lack of matches on most pay-per-views. I enjoy the 4 or 5 because it's a very tight, very solid schedule. We're not trying to rush through things. We're not trying to just throw
Yeah.
things on there to throw it on there. And that's the same thing with the 2 hour format. And that 2 hours, you're getting what will fit in 2 hours, not trying to stretch out things so it fits in three. Or if you're Raw, 2.5, because we never go past that 2.5 for some reason. But um,
But even still, 2.5 hour Raw, hell, that flew by on Monday.
absolutely. That's why like everybody was concerned that they were going to go over that because it was basically saying like we can be more flexible now because we don't have to go from 7 to 10. They immediately thought of the brain was, oh God, we're going to go like 4 hours, aren't we? No, they went the opposite with it. They cut out like the extended crap that they're using just to fill the time because they have to fill that 3 hour block, and they're just booking the show. And then once the show's done, the show's done. If it's done in 2 hours, it's done in two. If it's done in 2.5, it's done in 2.5. They don't have to fill that time. So I think going back down to 2 is a perfect thing for them. I don't see why they went to 3 in the first place, to be honest.
Well, and they're probably going to go back to 3 once the new show that they've got concludes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the show. I know I've talked about that. I want to watch it, but I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head now. But
Are you talking about
from what I've heard,
the
the USA show that's taking its place. Like right now, it's Resident Alien, but they've got the new lawyer show that I
okay.
know the name, but it escapes me. That is going to take its place in the next few weeks once it debuts. But I think from what I've heard, they're going to go back to 3 hours after that. So we'll see what happens at that point.
Yeah. If so, I don't like it, but what do I know? I'm just some schmuck with a mic. Your third thing, which I'm thoroughly excited to hear you talk about. Who is the real Indy God? Matt Cardona, Shotzi Blackheart.
And this one's tough because for the longest time it's been Matt Cardona because he's been the only one kind of put on there. But I love the fact that Shotzi has come out and made this splash about taking everything from Matt Cardona. Essentially, I think it's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously they're good friends.
Right.
They've had a lot of stuff to do together behind the scenes, but just them doing this, and I hope to God, and I think if my brain processes it the way I think it does, I think Shotzi will end up winning and become the new Indy God because Matt has already said he's the complete Matt Cardona now. He's kind of changed his gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
He's gone back to the Indy God and the Deathmatch King just to kind of facilitate this with Shotzi because he had stopped calling himself that for a while.
Yeah.
But now that somebody had kind of called him out and said, "Hey, no, I'm this now. I'm taking this mantle." He's like, "Well, no. Let's hold up now.
No.
I've got paperwork that says." I mean, he actually went and had it freaking
served.
copyrighted, which is hilarious.
I
think the match is going to be great.
Yeah, I love what they're doing online. Like anytime you throw social media into the story, I think that's always a fun little twist of it. So seeing the ring camera footage of her being served,
Yes.
and then the ring camera footage of her beating the shit out of the lawyer. But then he gets her tank and he runs over her arm, and now she's wearing a cast. And it's obviously
I still don't know if she's really. I don't know if her arm's really broken, and that was just written in for had to have the broken arm. Or I doubt they would let her wrestle with a real broken arm. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
That's one of those.
But, I mean,
it's kayfabe, and I don't want to know.
Exactly. Sometimes sometimes just keep me fooled, keep me in the dark. I'm okay with that.
Absolutely.
Sometimes blindfolds are fun.
But the match is coming, and it seems to be even bigger than anything that we've seen going on lately of what this is building to. First of all, seeing an intergender match, seeing a GCW level style match between these two former WWE talents that is going to probably blow everybody away.
Yeah, I'm so excited for it. And again, shout out to Shotzi, who I would imagine this was probably her idea because Matt has had friends that has left the company and hasn't done this yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I would imagine this was probably Shotzi went to him and said, "Hey, this could be a thing." And he's like, "Well, hell yeah, let's do that because
Yeah.
I can still make merch out of it. I can still get ticket sales out of it. I'm still going to make money. You're damn right. Let's do this." So shout out to her because he has said famously a lot of times is you could very easily, he said there's three types of people that get let go by WWE. There are ones that will come out and live off their name and their clout from WWE, and they'll just have a career doing that, and that's fine. There are people that will come out and automatically go away and you'll never see them again. And then there are people like Matt Cardona who decide to kick ass and break every door down and bust every wall down and just dominate.
Yeah.
And I think Shotzi's the kind of person that wanted to do that and brought this idea to Matt and they're like, "Hey, let's do this." And well, hell yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So
Have some fun with it. Like, and not just, sit on your laurels because you were a WWE talent and you get paid for it. Like name redacted in the Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens.
Exactly. Which I love how Ryback automatically said, "Well, they were talking about me," and then had to come back and say, well, I got with Kevin Owens and they weren't talking about me.
I still think they were talking about him, but
he just needed to get more clicks out of it.
Because once you go on Twitter and go, should I go to AEW, WWE, or retire? And overwhelmingly, we're like, retire.
Yes,
stop.
Please do. Yeah, just go home.
Just go home. But all right, well, that closes out the 3 count. Here on this show, we have started doing a rotating ending segment. So for this one, I'm going to bring back an old TikTok favorite. It's the I Need 5. So what this basically is I'm going to give you a category, and I need your top favorite 5. Not money-wise the best, nothing like that. This is your personal favorite 5. This one's going to be championship belts. Now, while you're thinking of yours, I've already got my list, so you think of your 5 that you want to bring up, and I'll just do my 5 real quick. My first one is this bad boy right here, Gift of the Gods. The whole gimmick of it was amazing. The idea of you had to have this little coin that you had to have a match to get to the belt, and then that belt, once you win the belt, is to get you a shot at the world title. I thought the whole gimmick was fun. Jack Perry's custom TBS championship was just badass looking. I don't know why we didn't keep it, because it was just a cool looking belt. One that I think gets a lot of hate, the WWE Undisputed Championship, the one that Lesnar had. Loved that belt. I don't know why people hate on it so much, because it was a beautiful looking belt.
Was the smaller version of the big gold one in WCW?
No, this was after that. So you had the 2 belts, and then the 2 belts became one undisputed belt, and then that was the belt that I'm talking about.
Okay.
But they didn't change it to the 1 belt, I think, until Lesnar got it. I think that's when they did the change. The green X Division the TNA X Division title, the green one, I thought that was really cool because it was just different looking because the X stuck out of the championship. So it was a cool looking design to me. Plus, I love that gimmick in the first place. Just the idea that it's a title with no limits and anybody could get it. And the last one is a sentimental one, and I know actually my partner loves it too, but I love it for a different reason. The Divas Championship, which gets a lot of hate, but when that came out, I had 2 little girls that would watch wrestling with me, and they fucking loved that butterfly title. So just seeing them excited about seeing that title come out, and the people that wore it, like it wasn't a throwaway title. You had some decent people wearing that belt, so one of my favorites.
Yeah, that one's underrated. I don't know that it's going to be on my 5, but it's definitely underrated. I mean, just in something we haven't talked about that we can if you want, the whole Charlotte article that she wrote or penned or whatever. I think she actually wrote it about kind of her career. She mentions winning that title from being the last Divas champion, winning it from Nikki Bella, one of the biggest moments in her career. That definitely tells you that it wasn't just a BS title, even though a lot of the matches during that time were BS matches. That title meant something especially to those women. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
All right, well, that's my 5. You go right on ahead.
You put me on the spot. My memory is horrible for these things, so they're going to be very commercialized WWE belts. So I apologize for that. And this is in no particular order to take a line from the Herb and Raj podcast when Raj gets to do his top fives. So I will preface this by saying it is in no particular order. Raj, if you're watching, you're welcome. And I do agree. I like, and I think it was the TNT championship, not TBS, that Jack
Oh,
Perry
you're
had.
right. You're right. It's TNT, not
Yeah,
TBS.
the one that he so and so forged himself. I still don't know that whether he really did that himself or not, but either way, the storyline was cool. The look was cool. It was different than anything else that was going on. So I really liked that. I mentioned one that I really liked, just the big gold belt from WCW, the gold championship belt. I mean, it just looked like a
Oh
championship
yeah.
belt. It looked like you wanted to win that, and it was just really cool. Um, I love goofy stuff, so I loved the hardcore title. Just how it looked all weird and beat up and stuff like that. So that one was a lot of fun to me. That's three. The original IC title, just how clean and cool that looked. That's one of the ones I can always remember from my childhood, watching Shawn Michaels or Razor Ramon hold that up. When I was first getting into wrestling, that was always a really cool, clean title look.
Is there a strap
And
that you prefer on that one?
I've always liked it with the white strap. But and my number one, again, just because of nostalgia and how much I loved it when I saw it. And again, when I saw it, I was probably in my late teens, early 20s, is the John Cena spinner belt. I know people hate it. I know people bag on it, but I loved the shit out of it, especially during that time for what it was. I popped every time I saw him just spin that. I love that Athena brought it back in ROH with her ROH title. I thought that was great. It doesn't hurt that Athena is one of my favorite women's wrestlers too. And then John Cena is one of my favorite men's wrestlers. So two of my favorite wrestlers have held that belt or created that kind of style.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely one. And I would probably put that at number one, to be completely honest, just for the nostalgia effect.
Yeah.
I would probably put that at number one on there, just what I remember and how it made me feel.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. Like to me, I liked the US a little better when he did the spinner on that. That would definitely be like an honorable mention for me, because that's like the idea of he like completely revamped it for his character, and it was the first time in a long time we saw a new belt, something completely refreshed, completely different from what we've seen before. And plus, I was a little hoodlum kid, so seeing the spinner thing, I'm like, that's cool.
And I like I almost put the AEW World Title on there. I really like the way it looks too.
It is a beautiful belt. Like I'll give him that. When Bret Hart pulled that thing out, I was expecting something plain Jane, just a regular world title. No, they went all out for that belt. It was nice looking.
Yeah. I do like the Winged Eagle, but I mean, I figured that one's too easy because everybody says the Winged Eagle. But
but there's that one's in contention now. Remember, because don't all eagles have wings?
Yeah, I was going to say that, or just technically just the Eagle title, because as Kevin Owens said a week or two ago, all eagles have wings. So why are we just calling it the Winged Eagle? It's just the Eagle title.
Yeah. The big gold belt, like I do love that one. Because like I remember him showing up at before the Royal Rumble with that belt, because it was his belt, because he paid for it. I love that whole story of like he just took the belt with him because like it's mine, I paid for it. But seeing that show up, like, to me, that dwarfed the WWE title, because you looked at it and went, that looks like a championship belt. But,
yeah.
All right. Well, before we wrap things up, big thanks to the Chairshot Media Group. We are a part of that wonderful group, as is Big Mike. It's where you're always encouraged to use your head, and in our cases, our mouth. If you like what we're doing here on the Kicking Out 2 podcast, or you like what they're doing over on the Run-In, there's a whole roster of great podcasts waiting for you between wrestling, sports, soap operas, and more. So check them out and support the whole squad. Info in the description of this video is going to be for all of our partners, so check all of them out. Anything you want to say about our wonderful group?
No, yeah, definitely. Come check us out. Check out everybody. A huge rest of the week for us here on the Run-In. We've got shows every night going on this week. They'll all be at 9 Eastern, 8 Central. Wednesday night, we've got our all-female Evolution panel. Thursday night is the big show, our normal time slot. So we are saving it for the biggest show of the weekend, All In, with predictions there. And then Friday night will be just me and Sped with NXT and Saturday Night Main Event predictions. So yeah, definitely a whole roster of guests coming for every one of those. Some you guys have seen, some you guys may not. Some people you may have heard of but never seen before. So maybe we'll get some fresh faces with some experienced voices on some of those as well. Stay tuned. I know I mentioned the evolution one. I've already named all 4 of those ladies that are going to be on there. You can go to @_BigMike27. It is my pinned tweet there. Tomorrow I will put out the um, all in participants, and we'll pin that up there too so everybody can see that. Make sure you go follow everybody that's going to be a part of our show, because we appreciate every single one of you guys that have come on our show. And I will go ahead, since we're on the show, I will spoil part of it. Michael is going to be part of our all in predictions. He is going to get a shot at that AEW crown that Sped currently holds. So he, for thanks to be able to have me on here. Speaking, what's going on, Sped? What's up, brother? Hopefully one of us can take that crown away from Sped on Thursday night. Hopefully it's me.
Want to stay on the show. All right. Real quick before I go into my final thoughts, where can we find you specifically, sir?
You see it down there below @_BigMike27, pretty much on everything, all socials, and you can always look up the Running Wrestling Podcast on YouTube.
Yep. It's a wonderful show. 2 great dudes on it. I give Sped a lot of heartache because of Dom, but Dom is doing amazing work. Can't wait to see the match between him and AJ. And I can't.
We should call Sped the Oracle, because he called Dom before any of us did.
He did, absolutely. And actually, so speaking of Dom, real quick though, your boy shouted out Dom on an interview. I saw an interview this morning of Mr. Iguana, and they asked him about Dom, and he said specifically, he was like, he was born for this. He's got the charisma, he's got the talent. He was born to do this. So big shout out from one of your favorites for one of his favorites. One for one.
Well, I mean, it is in his blood. When your dad's Eddie Guerrero, I mean, it's hard not to have it in your blood.
It's hard not to. One of those Guerreros have to have a good career. I didn't say that. Anyway, the fireworks.
I don't know if Stampede's ever said those words.
Yeah. The fireworks may be over.
Want Darby Allin to finish the story and not Hangman. That's the only reason you're cheering for. Let's not pretend that you like the Death Riders and Moxley. You just want your prediction to come true.
Mm-hmm. I don't know about, like, I'm gonna leave that for the prediction show, but like I don't know. I was big on Darby being the one, but the way they're playing Hangman right now, it'd be hard to vote against him.
Tune in Thursday night to see who we think.
Absolutely.
And since I'm going to put it out tomorrow morning, I'll go ahead and let the cat out of the bag. Stampede is part of our AEW predictions too. So you will be able to hear his unbiased or biased or unfiltered is probably what I meant to say. His unfiltered opinion on Thursday night on the Run In, 9 Eastern, 8 Central, as he gives his predictions as well, competing for that AEW crown.
That is wonderful. All right. All right. So final thoughts. The fireworks may be over, but the meaning of freedom doesn't fade after the 4th. As we move through July, let's remember that true independence means making room for everyone to be themselves. Wrestling is for everyone, and that freedom to belong, be heard, and be celebrated should carry long past the holiday. Let's keep that energy going in and out of the ring. Now, for us here at Kicking Out 2, you can catch us here on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, Blue Sky. You can sign up for the wonderful Discord right above my head there. Do that so you can drop your thoughts, share your faves, and keep the conversation going. And in the meantime, and in between time, thank you, Big Mike, for being here. Thank you, everybody in the chat, for being part of it. We will catch you on the next one. Bye.
Here's the cover. Can he do it? Kick out at 2.